What's up, YouTube? Happy Christmas Eve. It is Thursday, Christmas Eve 2020, December 24th, and we're going to pull some quick cards here and see what the energy is like, what Spirit wants you guys to know. And I hope you all have your list for Santa and your cookies baked and ready or are baking. All right, so what do we need to know on this beautiful Christmas Eve? Oh my goodness. Okay, what in the world do we have? Okay, so we've got mending. Okay, so we have mending. We're mending relationships, mending, we're doing a lot of internal mending. Okay, that's the way I really see this card. Yes, we could be mending relationships. Yes, we could be mending things with ourselves. This is a very emotional time. Okay, so being the day before Christmas, we could be doing, a lot of pondering, a lot of soul searching, a lot of seeking, maybe reaching out, to friends and family, people that we need, to sort of solve something with, a situation. But it's like, I really feel this is the relationship with ourselves. This is a time to where, we sometimes feel, we could be feeling a lot of different things, a lot of different people. This could be a very happy time. This could be a very sad time. It could be a very reminiscent time. For me, myself personally, I don't have any family at all where I am. They're all the way, on the other side of the country, halfway across the country. So, for me, it's very interesting that this is the second year, without the second, major holiday Christmas in a row without spending with family, so it's very strange and a very weird time for me, So this could be really, plus this is 52. 52 is reflection, where we've been, how things used to be, how they are, where we're going, So I'm going to leave it there. Because I have a, this is the red deck. This I'm using as the white deck because this looks like a snowflake to me. And then the green, okay? So red, white, green, okay? So we have mending, okay? So whether this is mending things with other people, mending things with ourselves, whether this is self-reflection, whatever this is for today, it's maybe this is just don't beat yourself up, like why are we maybe still hanging on to some certain things that we don't need to, so it's we're really, maybe we're really reflecting on where or how we need to mend certain situations, or how we need to sort of change the way that we think about ourselves or other situations or people, all involved. All right, so let's pull some more cards here and see exactly what Spirit wants us to know. More information. Let's get more information about this mending. What do we got here? Reassess. Okay, so I'm really feeling this is interesting. So I'm going to tell you a little personal story. Okay, so I went and I saw my Sedona mom recently, and she uses regular playing cards for her readings, and so she was super stoked. She opened up this little oracle card deck, and she's all about it. And so I was like, well, give me like a little reading. So she pulled 3 cards, and so it was like, relationship stuff, friendship stuff, past relationship stuff. It's sort of like we're really ooh, excuse me. There's a possibility, because this is a general reading, so take what resonates and leave the rest, okay? There's a possibility that we are here and we are at this point in time right now to where we need to reassess our friendships, our relationships, how we function in relationships, how we have functioned in relationships in the past, how we used to be, what we still need to let go of, what we still need to heal, who we are now, and what we want to bring forward. Okay? Because we're still sort of in this, you know, I keep saying we're still like in this little gap here, the in between, you know? And so this is what I'm associating this particular card with is, you know, we need to reassess ourselves. We need to reassess maybe some, you know, certain particular situations or relationships or friendships. You know, maybe we need to pull them apart a little bit deeper and pull out the aspects and the lessons or what the pearl in that story really was in order for us to move forward. Or maybe this is really reassessing the situation and how we feel and where we are and where both parties are at. And maybe this is a, you know, possible, you know, time to have maybe some conversations that, you know, if there's something that needs to be said, then maybe the door is open for that. Okay. So, but I'm also really feeling this is reassessing. This is all internal really, because now that we're in the age of Aquarius now, okay, and it's we're really reflecting upon ourselves. This is about, you know, an inward journey, okay? And I feel like I've said that a lot, but this is an inward journey, and so we're mending and we're reflecting with number 52, okay? We're mending and we are reflecting certain aspects about ourselves, okay? So maybe we need to reassess how we are feeling, what we are ignoring, what we need to complete, reassess relationships that are working, relationships that aren't working, and, you know, mend things from the inside out. That's, I feel like that's the big key word right there, is mending things from the inside out. Because if we're not right in here, things aren't right out here. So what is out here showing you to where you can do the healing and the fixing and the mending in here? I think that is the key right there. I feel like there's just some deep reflection of certain aspects of ourselves. You know, so ask yourself, where do you need mending? Where do your relationships need mending? It's almost like an inventory again, you know? All right, so what do we need to, what is the last? I'm really feeling reassessing friendships. Reassessing friendships and the way that you speak to yourself, the way that you are to yourself, your self-love, self-worth, how you view yourself. Mend, you know, reassess where you need mending with who you are and who you want to be and who you are now and where you're going. Who you've been, who you are, and where you're going. Okay? All right, let's see. The last words for this reading. Christmas Eve, Christmas Eve, Christmas Eve. Okay, this one is sticking out. Oh boy. Okay, you guys. We have darkest fears. Darkest fears. Okay, number 9. Like, listen, this really is a good card. Okay. Yes, it was in reverse. I'm gonna read this kind of both ways. Okay. So this is interesting because I actually had a conversation this morning. They're one of my friends. I was supposed to get healing sessions today, and she's like, listen, you know what? She's like, I didn't sleep good with some fears that came up, and, you know, I'm really, you know, trying to deal with this stuff. And so, you know, today's not a good day. And I said, well, listen, don't worry about it. I kind of knew, you know, that it wasn't going to be a good day for healing session anyway. So, so right now it's sort of like there's a potential here that we're allowing ourselves to get in our own heads. Okay. Because that's really what this is about, is, you know, our darkest fears are in our minds. Okay. So there's a potential here that we need to rethink or reassess. Okay. Reassess these fears. Okay. Now, do we have fear around these certain relationships? Okay. Do we need to assess our fears around mending? Do we think that if we say something or we speak something or we open that doorway that, you know, we're not really sure what's going to happen? You know, or we're like, oh, you know, I don't know. You know, we could be getting in our heads about it, our darkest fears. Well, you don't know unless you ask. You know, that's something else that came up for me recently. You won't know, and you don't know unless you ask. You have to ask for help sometimes. You cannot possibly do everything yourself. Okay? So whatever these fears are, this could be fears around, you know, mending. This could be, you know, your fears around mending certain relationships, certain situations. There could be fears around, you know, what we think. Because what we think and what is could be two totally different things. How we feel and how the other person feels could be two totally different things. We might not open our mouths in fear of, I don't know what the other person is going to say. Well, if you would open your mouth and get over the fear, you might be able to be friends again. You might be able to mend the situation. That's what this is all about. Maybe this is getting over our fears. Our fears, our thoughts of what our mind is thinking is to be true, okay? And to sit and reassess the situation of how we feel or why we're feeling the way we're feeling or what this fear is concerning, you know, reflecting on this relationship situation or our self-talk, our self-worth, our self-love, what it is that we have fears inside that we need to mend ourselves, okay? So this is really a time to where we might be triggered. I would definitely say that there is, you know, or like I said, around the holidays, it's difficult for some people, and for other people, this is a very, very happy time. Okay, so wherever you may fall into this, the internal card here is to reassess. Okay, so there's something that we need to relook at, reassess, reevaluate. Go within. This is the internal card that we're having, and so and then the external cards we have mending and darkest fears. Okay, so you know what are we fearing? What are we scared of? You know, and the only thing is this is mental fear. Okay, because also this is a 9, so this is almost an ending. Okay, so this is really saying, hey, you know, we're fixing this, or we're attempting to bridge the gap between these fears and how we feel about them or how we think about them or what we conjure them up to be in our minds. And so this is all about really saying, hey, okay, you know what? I need to stop possibly being resistant to these fears and allow these fears to fall away, or allow to pick these fears apart. So what are your fears? If you have fears, if this is resonating with you with fears and mending these things, okay, maybe we need to make a list of fears and to dive into these fears one by one and really pick them apart and say, okay, well, maybe we need to do some research. Why do I feel this way? Maybe this is just something that was made up a really long time ago, or someone said something to you, or you had some kind of situation that happened to you 20 years ago, and that's just why you feel that way, you know? Okay. It's very valid, but that was then, this is now. So I mean, this is really saying, let's reassess these fears. Where's this fear coming from? Okay, let's dive into the fear and not be resistant to the fear, because the fear is here to teach us something. Okay, so we need to dive into these fears, whatever it is, okay, and realize that this is a mental process. And, you know, to just allow it to fall away. Like, do the work that you need to do, you know, because this is really part of your mending journey. Okay, this is all about mending. Okay, so we're getting rid of this fear that there's a possibility that we're resistant to. Okay, but let's dive into it and allow it to be there, and get into our minds and really see what this is about, so that we can finally fix it. Okay, and say goodbye. So, you know, this could be a trigger. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a darkest fear. It could be a trigger. It's just a way of thinking, the fear of, or a thought that isn't even necessarily true. We get into our minds, we get into our heads, and, you know, it's easy for our minds to take over and take us down that deep, dark hole. Okay. So this is kind of, well, I mean, this is interesting. This is coming up for Christmas Eve, but not necessarily, you know, regardless of the holiday, it's just the energy. Okay, so You know, you could have a fear of going to Christmas, you know, spending Christmas time with your family tomorrow, you know, because there's a relationship there, or there's someone that, you know, maybe you need to have a conversation with, and so you're really not sure and you're resistant and you're not really, you know, maybe you need to reassess yourself and what you're going to say and where you're going to come from, and make sure that you come from a place of love and kindness and compassion, you know. And maybe we need to just really kind of open our minds and our eyes to see and to meet where people are at, because sometimes that's, you know, the root of sometimes the confrontation, or not being able to, you know, we're not meeting each other, you know, we're not meeting each other where we are, you know. And there's so many different points of views, and there's so many, you know, we're all on our different paths, we're on our own journey. And so, you know, allow yourself to take a step back and say, okay, you know what, like, why am I being resistant to this? Why am I being triggered? And, you know, dive into the fear and really go into it and get to the root of it, versus maybe ignoring it and just moving on, you know, because this is really asking us internally to reassess these things. And, you know, where can we sort of make amends, or where can we sort of patch up these, how do I want to say it, just these like old, really old, outdated mindsets that have sort of made us be fearful for a really long time when there was no reason to have fear, you know. And this doesn't necessarily mean like being scared, you know. It's just uncomfortable, you know. Fears are uncomfortable. We're uncomfortable, anxiety ridden, you know. Why does it make us feel that kind of way? Okay, so that's what I want you guys to think about. Pay attention to these triggers, pay attention to these things, pay attention to what is coming up for you, and you know, dive into it. Just dive into it and really, you know, really look and reassess the whole situation. And you know, there's a beautiful opportunity for healing here for yourself. Okay, mending a relationship, a situation, a challenge, or a pattern or a thought process that you've had for a really long time. So it's almost like I'm, you know, it's like sewing a patch on a pair of jeans that have a hole in them, you know. So that's kind of where I'm seeing that, is like we're finally, like, we've learned the lesson, or we've you know, this is something that's coming up to be learned, to be let go of, and it's kind of like the final round, you know, the final round, because this is a 9. This is a 9, so we're moving on to the 10, you guys, okay? Don't look at it as a universal test. Look at it as an initiation. The universe is inviting you and initiating you in to move past this fear and to conquer it and to transform it and to release it, so that you can move on to your next brand new cycle in your life. Okay? All right, you guys. I love you. Have a beautiful Christmas, and I will see you on the next video. Namaste. Bye for now.